Okay, on our Philippine Pinoy winter house build, let's talk electrical and plumbing. Septic and water. The blue lines all represent the water lines. At the top you can see the arrow, blue arrow. That is the water supply coming from the city. And you notice that we dropped off a water line, or will drop off or tee off a water line immediately for an outdoor CR, as they call them here, comfort room. We call it a washroom or a bathroom. So here we've got the septic tank on the bottom left, and it'll be a 3-chamber septic tank, and to be determined now is what we need for the size of field. So the septic will nicely run in one singular line, picking up 2 bathrooms and the kitchen on the way. So we've minimized the number of elbows and T's and all of that type of thing, and Y's that are necessary for the plumbing. The water line, of course, is pretty straightforward. As shown there again, we will drop off a water line for that outdoor CR, and then the water will go into the washrooms and peel off to the various, the toilet, the sink, and the shower. And look later in this video, and we will show you how that configuration works where there's no hot water tank. So from the outside, you can see roughly what I've been talking about here. The water supply coming from the city. One will drop off for that outdoor washroom. And of course, you've got the septic, going to leave that toilet and shower and sink. And then the water supply will continue on and go in the same trench as the septic. Okay, so now we've got the electrical plan that we're going to go through here. And I do apologize, in the background here you're hearing a guy grinding, and he's making tiles. He's fitting them in for his outdoor patio. So you're getting a little bit of background noise. Anyway, so let's look into the washroom, the general washroom for the house. Pretty self-explanatory there. We will touch on the bathrooms specifically at the end of this video. But from an electrical standpoint, it's pretty straightforward. The S is the switch. We'll control the overhead light, and there'll be a plug there for the razor or hair dryer or whatever. But an additional plug is required in the Philippines for the hot water system. And again, we'll touch on that a little bit further along. So in the TV room, we're very specific on these electrical outlets. In the Philippines, the electrical outlets tend to be about 1 foot roughly off the floor. That's mainly because they have to cut into the floor, or into the wall, in order to get this electrical. So the further up you come, of course, the worse it will be. We're going to be using AAC blocks, and so the cutting out is much easier. And we will want, in this particular case, a USB port and a plug for the lamp that would be above that end table. So we'll have to determine the size of the end tables yet, but a typical height might be 2'6". So we've got electrical down by the TV wall for obvious reasons. And you'll notice a symbol there that represents data, but in this particular case is representing a duct that we will have go up into the ceiling or down through the floor, and then up to where that Wi-Fi wall is, which we will have our Wi-Fi media panel in there and also the electrical panel. So from that Wi-Fi wall, very similar symbol again, and it will go up and to the top of the screen, the center wall above that dirty kitchen. That's where the PLDT antenna will reside, because it is wireless to the house. Now let's go into the kitchen. So in the kitchen, you can see that again, 4 switches One switch goes off to the light above the entry door. One will go out to the patio, the northeast patio, and one will control a light that we probably won't use above the TV chairs. And lastly, the switch for the kitchen, which will be a light bar. In the kitchen, we will also put in an individual receptacle for the fridge. That's rarely put in here, but we will do that. And we will have plugs over each counter. Canadian style, the upper plug will be one circuit and the lower will be another circuit. Okay, so in the living room, you'll notice I've labeled one particular switch. It's the bottom of those two switches up against the bathroom wall, and it is labeled deck kill switch. That will be the power that will come from the electrical to that switch so that we can control all of the power that goes out to the deck. Just ease, rather than having to go out onto the deck to turn the switches off for the light and the fan. This way, if we leave the house and we go away for the weekend or we're away in the winter for any length of time, then we can just, before walking out the door, kill the power to the front. We will be putting in solar powered motion sensing light. So that is not part of this whole grid. We will have to, of course, optimize where the sun is and how often those lights really need to go on and off from a motion standpoint. There will be sufficient light from the house switch system to give us general lighting. Okay, what I'm talking about is somebody approaches the land, or in this particular case too, with the garage, I'm only having one switch for the garage. I'm not going to control from the house to the garage. I'm only going to have one switch there for the inside of the garage. Again, motion sensor solar lights will be on the entry of the garage for the car, and there'll be a motion sensor that as soon as we open the person door coming out towards the northeast deck, motion sensing will happen there. The ensuite. The plug noted with the hot water. It's not a tank, it's an on-demand system. So that plug may reside underneath the sink, high, so it's out of the way of the water. It may be mounted on the outside cabinetry beside the toilet for access to control the heat. Once you're set, right? And again, it could be on the ceiling, which would be more your typical hot water installation. In the picture that we've got here, it shows how they typically do that. The water comes in and goes to the hot water and then splits off to the sink and they shower. In the case of the toilet, of course, it just goes direct. On the right, you can see many people do not worry about sink water. It tends to be not lukewarm, but it's also not cold. It's room temperature, as it were. But in our case, if you look to the left, our setup, it shows a connection going off to the shower, so a simple T. So at the sink and the shower, it's just a matter of controlling the volume of water enough to trigger that hot water system. Okay, and lastly on this video, let's touch on that area between the garage and the TV room. That empty space in there, it's going to be about 12 feet roughly. And what we plan on putting in there is the temporary washroom for the workers, but then convert that area to an outside shower tub. For me, preferably a tub. And here's some examples of what we're looking at in the future. Lots of bamboo, I suspect, for this tropical tub shower. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon, guys. Enjoy.